Geraldo Rivera, I read with great interest a short time ago when you sent me a sort of, I don't know, a bit of context here. Mary Winkler gets 270 days for shooting her husband in the back and can serve it in a mental hospital, and Paris Hilton gets 45 days for a first-time DWI.
It really was shocking to me, Shep, that people apparently have a feeding frenzy about this woman, where it reminds me of the French women who collaborated with the Nazis after the war, and people got them and stripped their clothes off and chopped their hair off. I think with Paris Hilton, people would not have been satisfied absent the flogging. And Arthur, who's a wonderful lawyer, seems so intemperate about this this one person. The rules get suspended when it comes to Paris Hilton. No one goes to jail for 45 days on a first-time DUI. The judge is right. When you get caught driving with a suspended license, they prolong the period of suspension. That you can't find a East L.A. gangbanger who gets this kind of time and this kind of sentence. And this fight between the judge and the sheriff is a fight over whose Johnson is longer. And it's so pathetic. And what you're seeing, I think that Greta probably has it correct, is a woman coming apart at the seams now, having a nervous breakdown. This is not, you want to pretend that justice is blind, and you have newsmen throwing their bodies at her car and saying, oh, we're going to make sure that she gets what's coming to her. There's a sense of vengeance here that has no bounds. I think it's really, really unseemly. It's pathetic.
It's like, it almost feels like we watched that soap opera of, the puppy and the two of them, and we watch them sort of lay their lives in front of us, this socialite and the bling and all of that junk, and then it's like a tigress devouring her young now.
I think that it's an intriguing story. There's no doubt about it. It is an unfolding soap opera, but I think what it says, that this now becomes more about what it says about the justice system and subjective justice than it does about this particular defendant. This would never have happened but for her celebrity. The judge, I think, going back to the original sentencing, that is the original sin here. All the wrong that comes from the rest of the case comes because of that original sin.
You're not going to believe this. The cars are passing literally by the circus.
That's the first time I've laughed today, Shep.
And they've stopped at the circus. Maybe the carnies are getting out of the car to begin the proceedings, get the tilt-a-whirl going. Greta, you don't love this, do you? That answers that.
We lost her.
Go on, Geraldo.
No, I tell you, Shep, where this all ends up now, how people save face now. Lee Baca, Adam describes him as a maverick, but he's a strong-willed person, and he has a tremendous following in Los Angeles. And, once she gets in jail, what Lee did wrong, what the sheriff did wrong here was to let her go home on this mental thing. He could have easily said, oh, listen, I've got people who are predators. I need the space for the predator. I need the space for the murderer. I need the space for the rapist. I need the space for the bank robber. I'm not going to, have this person taking up all this room when I've got them crawling out the windows, and I'm putting dangerous people in trailers when I'm putting Paris Hilton in county. It's
one of my colleagues says this is not about celebrity. This is about money, the rich and the powerful. And for the rich and the powerful, whether you like it or not, the rules do not apply. I just got a bulletin. TMZ is now reporting. TMZ, the authority on all things,
apparently,
is now reporting, and thank you for that. And they're now reporting that she will appeal. Well, there's a stunner. For the rich and the powerful, the rules don't apply. Geraldo?
I think that the problem is, as Lee Baca said this morning, just because you are a celebrity doesn't mean you can be punished more severely. That is blonde justice. You don't want, I don't want my son. What if I come up against the judge who has something against me, and there's my son standing before him, and the judge says to him, your dad is a powerful man and he has influence, so I'm going to make an example so this will rebound and echo off the towers of 6th Avenue, and we're going to send a lesson. That's not what judges are supposed to do. They are supposed to administer justice, and there's no way Judge Sauer can look in the mirror and say he would have treated any other defendant under these facts, these circumstances in the same way. Look at Mel Gibson. What Mel Gibson did to that cop when he got stopped on that DUI on Pacific Coast Highway, and the things he said about Jewish people, and in that cop's face, there's no allegation of any of that kind of behavior by Paris Hilton. Yeah, and look how she's being treated.
Geraldo, if I could just interrupt. I was in court today. I'm in court every day. I would be terrified if I was going back into this courtroom in front of any judge if this was the third time consecutively in a very short period of time that my client was defying a judge's order. I don't care if it's
that wasn't her doing. She wasn't the one who agreed to the telephone conference. That wasn't her.
I'm talking about the fact that she gets a DWI.
This judge should have recused himself, bring in a sober, unaffected, objective jurist who's going to rule on the facts, and not because he's ticked off, and not because the people at his country club give him a round of applause when he came home after the original. Adam says she was driving recklessly the second or third time. Why wasn't she cited for that?
Good question.
Why wasn't she? If that is indeed true, where is the citation?
The citation, the last time, was for driving the Bentley without the lights on. Nobody
at 70 miles an hour, Judge. At 70 miles an hour.
That's not the citation. The citation was for driving with a suspended license, not for driving without your lights at 70 miles an hour. I didn't see that. I didn't see her charged with reckless driving. And remember, there was never an accident here.
Right.
Never an accident.
Thank God there was never an accident.
Had she injured someone while driving on the revoked list, that'd be different. That's a different story, a different charge, and jail would have been mandated.
A second DWI would be another matter. A second driving under the influence on a suspended license, that's a different matter, right?
Right.
California law tells the judge you should send them to jail for a second driving under the influence.
That's exactly
right. You know what the judge realized? The judge realized that she was a spoiled brat who believed she was above the law.
You don't go to jail for being a spoiled brat.
No, Shep, there is. When you defy a judge's order 3 times, then there's a consequence to that. That's my point. When you defy
it wasn't a judge's order 3 times. That's not
John
okay,
Kerry
the law.
Would say in this country have a right to be
3 times there's a consequence.
It's not true. She got 1 DUI. She was warned the second time. She got caught the third time driving to work. Her defense was the guy told her she could drive if it was back and forth from home to work, which is often a condition of suspended licenses around this country.
And what about the third time?
There was no third time.
There was no third time.
There was it. Those were those 3 cases. There was the original sin, the warning, and then the third one was the when.
So there was a third time. You just said the original sin, the warning, and then the third one. So there was 3 times that she did it.
She only cited the 1 time.
Look, what's happening today?
The warning the second time, the third time she gets pulled.
That's right. And it's what's more interesting, really, to me than all of that other stuff is what is going on between 2 elected officials.
Wow, that's the real story. I agree.
Elected official who's in charge of the judiciary in this particular case, who has the final say, makes a ruling. The elected sheriff changes all of the rules behind the back of the decider, redecides, the decider becomes the exploder, decides in the courtroom, and then Paris becomes the weeper. It's not fair.
If the sheriff does this again, he's a defendant in a contempt charge issued by this judge.
Do you believe that? Geraldo, do you believe that?
You know what I want? God forbid, Chip, something happens to this woman now. This woman that's the object of such vilification and hatred and envy, because that's behind a lot of it. What happens if she goes in there now and has some really, really serious injury? What happens now?
The sheriff has the job of protecting her, and it's a more difficult job.
Can he protect her? What if Greg is right? What if she's having an absolute nervous? What if the next story you read is Paris Hilton's in critical condition at county hospital instead of county jail?
Take her to UCLA. That's where my defendant who's got HIV positive.
What did your defendant as HIV? What did he do?
He ran an escort service. Big deal.
He ran an escort service?
Yeah, he ran an escort service.
Arthur, you telling the truth? That's the only thing he's charged with?
Yeah, he's charged with money laundering while he's running an escort service. Yeah, big deal.
Yeah, and
money laundering while running an escort service, big deal. Meanwhile, back at the ranch,
she's got a .8. One margarita
back at the ranch, boys. Body. Back at the ranch, Mary Winkler. Mary Winkler shot her preacher husband in the back with a gun.
When he was asleep.
2, when he was sound asleep. She's going away for 270 days. Here we watch as Paris Hilton, the young socialite, the woman famous for being famous, the woman who got a DWI on the way to get a burger. Today, that woman is going off to jail for 45 minutes.